unique challenge as a mom, in the sense that you're a single mom. And it's not a single mom in the more familiar sense. You're a single mom because at this young age, you're a widow. Is that right? How is it how is it raising Nathan now as a single mom? What are the challenges?
As a single mom, well, it's been more than 2 years already since Anthony passed away. So, nasasanay na din ako na kaming dalawa lang. And I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive family. So my parents are there, my brother's there, so we all live in one house. So if I'm not there and I'm working, andun yung mga kapatid ko sa bahay to be with Nathan. So, better, I guess, mas, syempre for me as a single mom, the things that I do before, mas doble lang siguro yung trabaho ko ngayon because I'm the only person who's gonna be able to provide for my son. Ako lang yung magbibigay ng mga pangangailangan niya. And syempre, as lahat naman tayo bilang mga magulang, gusto natin maibigay natin lahat ng maayos at maganda, lalo na yung basic needs niya, which is yung education, tamang ganito, ganyan, yung luho, kahit hindi na nga sa akin din sa mga lolo't lolo na lang niya nagsuspoil sa kanya. But of course, I want to give him the best education I could find for him. So those are the things that I really have to save up for.
So single mom, widow at this age, maybe it's a bit of a shocker. You touched on Anthony. Can you give us an idea about where did you meet Anthony?
Anthony is a family friend. I met him, I was 12 years old. He's 6 years my senior. And then, we never really spoke. Kasi nga parang binata na siya, tapos I was a kid. And then, when I turned 19, that's when he started talking to me. And then, he texted me and then he asked me out. And then I thought it was weird because I saw him like a big brother. And then I gave it a chance. Yeah, I did. When I was a kid, yun yung tawag ko sana. And then doon, that's where it all started. We started going out, started dating, tapos nagtuloy-tuloy.
And what did you like best about him? What was his personality? Siya ba yung nagpapatawa sa'yo?
Oo, ganun siya. Very maloko, very tilyo, ganyan. Tapos sobrang nakakatawa, tapos madami siyang mga kalokohan. So,
and then, basically, so when did you tie the knot?
2010.
When he proposed to you, what were you thinking at that point? You had a lot of plans, I suppose, getting married. What were your future plans?
No, what happened was, we got married first 2008, civil wedding in the States. And then when we got back from the States, we decided to marry again in church naman to invite all our friends and family. So, yun, that's what happened.
2010, which month was this?
March.
March 2010. We have some photos of your wedding. Okay. And then at this point, March 2010, what were your plans as a couple?
Well, syempre, just like any other couple, we plan to work hard for our family. Syempre, yung dreams mo of you want to buy a bigger house, you want cars, you want more kids, you want a comfortable life. Yung mga ganun. Parang yun yung mga plano namin together. That's why we both wanted to work really hard for our family. Para kung lumaki man yung pamilya namin, gusto namin mas maayos yung kita namin, maayos yung ganun namin.
How many kids did you plan to have?
Like 3 or 4.
Wow.
Because we both came from a big family, so we wanted a lot of kids.
Having that big family, Now, interestingly, that when you got married March 2010, and then just a few months later, Anthony started feeling something.
Yeah, he had a parang bukol sa left side. Tapos, we hadn't tested for a few months. Siguro that was around June first test niya. Paulit-ulit. And then we had to go to a different doctor. And then, they were ruling out cancer at that time because he was only 31, something like that. So they thought he was too young to actually acquire that kind of disease. So they ruled out nila yun. And then they finally saw yung nasidistansya na meron talaga. And then after that, they did the biopsy and then they saw it was malignant. That was around mga September.
So you just got married in March, 6 months later, a few months later, in June, started feeling something. Ano yung mga naramdaman niya at that point? Masakit ba yun?
Masakit yung tenga niya. Parang nabitin yung left ear niya. So, yun yung pinaka-complain niya. Kasi nga, meron siyang lymph node na bukol dito sa left side. So, yung pinatest na namin, it could be TB or a lot of things. Ito kung ano yung sinabi. Tapos he was taking some antibiotics too kasi inflammation lang daw siya or something like that. Tapos, it would go away and then it would come back again.
So, nung OBP nila kinain ng antibiotics and they found out the biopsy it's something more.
Yeah, it's nasopharyngeal cancer.
How was his lifestyle? Did he exercise? Was he?
He did. He was playing badminton twice a week. Though he would eat a lot too. Kasi yung business nila, they wholesale meat, like pork talaga. So suppliers sila sa mga malalaking companies natin. So they deliver like tons of pork. So yung mga excess na pork doon, yun yung kinakain niya. And then they make processed food also. Kasi yun yung, I think it's part of the business, like the things that you don't get to sell, you process it and turn it into something else. And of course, he eats that a lot too. So it could be his eating habits, it could be the environment, it could be genetics, it could be a lot of things, yes.
Pero ang pagkakakilala mo sa kanya, magmula nung 12 years old ka, up to the point that you got married, he was generally a healthy person.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he was sick at that time. He was perfectly fine.
So at that point that both of you found out that he had cancer, was there a stage? Was it stage?
I think it was already 4.
Stage 4. What were the treatments that he needed to go through?
He had to go through radiation, mga 30 sessions of radiation every single day.
30 sessions?
Yes.
Every day?
Every day yun, for 30 days. Kasi yung break lang niya, I think is, I'm not sure if it's Saturdays or and Sunday or Sunday lang. Kasi kailangan Monday to Friday he has to go. And then chemotherapy 1 round every week for like 6 weeks.
And for perspective, sila doctor showed some numbers kanina. Chemotherapy or radiation is about 60,000 per session. And for 30 sessions, medyo that's
The radiation ranged about 3,000 per session.
Per session.
Per session. The chemo, mga roughly mga 20. Yung time na yun, mga 20, 25, 30 per session.
So,
I think it depends on the kind of drugs they use.
Okay. So in his case, when he had to go through all of this, what were your thoughts together as a couple or ikaw yourself?
Well, first of all, I couldn't believe he actually had cancer because he was only 30. So parang feeling ko it was the last thing I would actually think of. But I was already preparing myself kasi noong time na yun, when those things started coming out, that was around June. Tapos nung wala pa rin sagot, ng September, that's when I started worrying. Kasi parang, imposible naman na tinetest ka ng tinetest at hindi nila malaman kung anong meron ka. So, that's when I started to worry na baka it could be something really serious. Nung una, ang feeling ko, I didn't want to find out what it was. Like, I was so in denial na it could be this, but no, it's impossible, he's young. Nung tumatagal na, tapos wala pa rin maayos na sagot, that's when I realized na whatever it is, I have to find out what it is. Kasi, kung iilagan ko siya ng iilagan at i-deny ko sa sarili ko na may sakit talaga siya, then nasasayang yung oras namin na dapat nagpapagamot na siya nung panahon. So, when I found out that it was cancer, syempre, he was so upset, he was so down, he couldn't believe it also. Na parang, how? Paano ko nakuha yun? Parang hindi rin siya makapaniwala that he has that. So, ang unang step namin was to undergo treatment right away. So, it was all very positive since nasopharyngeal has a high chance of survival. And they tell us na yan daw yung very common na cancer dito sa Asia. It's highly curable. Marami na daw gumaling dyan kasi maraming cases yan dito sa atin. So, hearing those words, we knew na, sisiw lang pala itong cancer na ito, kayang-kaya pala itong mawala. Parang ganun.
So you were willing to fight the cancer?
Yeah,
both of you?
definitely. He was young. I'm sure his body could take all the treatments. Tapos kung maayos na naman yung... Kung maayos din naman yung motivation mo sa sarili mo, gusto mo talagang bumalik, mas makakatulong din yun sa'yo. So, I think kung nagka-cancer man siya at a very early age, I think he was also the perfect candidate to actually survive it.
Struggle na as it is physically and emotionally yung going through a disease like cancer. In this case, this was his first chemo session ba to?
Oo, nagkikimo siya din. Tapos, I always told him, and then I told him I'd be the one to do that. Tapos nagagalit siya din kasi daw baka daw masakit. O, tapos sabi ko, papasok lang naman yun, wala namang ibang mangyayari sa gamot, so might as well. We were just playing around and making it, light. And
So, besides the physical and emotional struggle, I'm sure that there was, what were your thoughts when it came to wanting to treat him properly for his cancer? And the financial aspect of that, kasi I'm sure, yun palang pag sinabing 30 treatments on a daily basis, tapos weekly chemo, pumasok ba sa isip nyo na parang, okay, we have to fight this, but how?
ang unang naisip namin, kaya namin magpagamot eh. Pero hanggang kailan? Kasi we have savings, of course. Kasi nagtatrabaho naman siya, nagtatrabaho ko, or fortunately naman din kami magastos pareho. So, we have enough money in the bank and we're saving and saving and saving kasi pareho kami nagtatrabaho. But when he started getting treatment, of course, he had to stop working. So yun, parang ngayon may pera tayo, ngayon may pampagamot tayo, pero eventually, mauubos din yung pagpagamot natin. Kasi hindi ka, kumbaga, kung dati, ganitong pera yung pumapasok, ngayon ito na lang kasi hindi ka na nag-work eh. Ako na lang lahat. So we were fortunate that his parents were also helping us financially sa pagpapagamot. So, with that, hindi naman na kami masyadong nahirapan kasi they were really taking care of everything, financial aspects ng pagpapagamot niya. Sila talaga lahat yung nagbibigay. So ako, because at that time, I was still working because he told me not to stop working kasi we had Nathan to take off naman. Na kung pareho, kung may sakit ka, hindi tayo magkatrabaho, ubusin natin yung pera natin sa pagpapagamot mo kasi kahit sinong pamilya, kahit sinong tao, kapag wala ka ng pera, ipangungutang mo yan if that means it's gonna be the only choice you have para lang mabuhay yung tao na yun. So, kami, yung naging decision namin, I can't stop working because we have Nathan to take off. Hindi pwedeng lahat to iubos natin na para sa'yo lang kasi mag-aaral siya. Mga ganito, ganyan. He has his needs also. So, we have to, kahit during the time that he was already sick, we still have to think of Nathan. Siya pa rin talaga yung priority natin.
Pero but from your end as the wife, I'm sure there was some struggle. I'm sure mas gugustuhin mo ng buka at naalagaan siya.
Oh yeah, definitely. Kasi it was hard for me na I would take 3 times a week eh. So pag uwi ka ng bahay, hindi pa ako matutulog nun kasi I have to take care of him. Tapos buong araw na yun, kailangan ko lang siyang alagaan na sikasuhin. So talagang barely enough sleep. I would sleep in a sofa, in a leather sofa. Kasi yung kanyang parang bed, nandiyo dyan. And then he doesn't like the aircon on kasi he gets too cold. So ako, pawis ako dun sa leather sofa. Kasi di ba, pag yung ganito, okay pa to eh. Pero yung leather, yung pawis mo, dudun lang din. It doesn't absorb anything. So, it was really very hard for me. Ang swerte ko lang na nung sa isang taon na yun na I was taking care of it, hindi rin ako nagkasakit. As in, I was okay. So, pasok na naman ako ng work 7 a.m. Tapos uwi naman ako ng 3 a.m. And then, the same goes for me again every single day. Hanggang sa, nung una medyo kaya pa, kasi nakakalakad pa siya, but eventually, kasi hindi na rin siya makalakad. He was just always sitting down, or nakahiga, or naka-wheelchair. So, yun yung nararamdaman ko na hindi na pwedeng wala ako.
So, speaking of the progression, so you got married in March 2010, started feeling something in June, September, he was officially diagnosed.
Yes, that was 2010.
And then his treatment started immediately. So
Yes.
yung October, November na panahon na yun?
November, December.
November, December. And then, what was the progress by the time 2011?
November, December, he started having treatments. Nag-stop yun ng January. Pahinga siya buong month of January. February, we have to go back for reassessment kung nawala ba or something. So, nag-PET CT scan siya. The PET CT scan is an expensive procedure where it lights up. Yeah. Oo, no. Sabi daw nila, nagla-light up daw dun kung saan may cancer dun sa katawan ng isang tao. So, it's like, basically like 100 grand. Oh, 120 na ngayon. Dati mga below 100 pa daw. So, isang scan lang yun, isang daan lang yun. So, around Feb, we found out na nag-metastasize yung kanyang cancer sa lungs,
So, bumaba.
bone, and liver. So, nung nalaman namin yun, of course, he was so upset, and then he started losing so much weight, and then he had to undergo another round of chemo sessions. So, this is 4 chemo every 3 weeks. Tapos, I think this time, they got a stronger mix of medications. And he only did 3. The last he said he cannot do anymore.
Because it was really taking a toll on him.
Yeah, he was too tired, he's already too thin, he can't eat anymore. Wala na rin siyang, feeling na siguro immobile na siya, yung hindi na siya gumagalaw, kasi lahat na ng puro sakit. So dahil may yun yung side effect ng chemo drugs, kailangan na naman na mag-take ng ibang gamot para kontrahin naman yung side effects. So doble-doble yung gamot. Tapos yung bone kasi, I think it's the most painful kind of cancer. So meron din siyang mga patches, yun yung kanyang pain reliever that we have to replace every 3 days. Yung patch na yun, natututan ng mga 20,000-25,000. And that's every 3 days na kailangan mong palitan. Yun.
Wow. So, at this point, ang dami nilang dinaanan, treatments. And the interesting thing, as you were saying, is that it caught both of you by surprise. He was only 30. But at the same time, we were positive and hopeful kasi nga he's young. It's a common case among Asians, etc. But despite all those treatments and everything that he's been through, in the end, nahirapan na rin, kumalat na rin at lumaban. So, what point was it really a struggle na for him? Mahirap na for both of you?
Siguro mga August. I think it was around June, my birthday, ng 2011. Pinilit ko talaga na we go out now. And then his parents didn't approve of it. And I just said, I think we have to do this. Kasi he's getting weaker and weaker every day. And I just want to maximize the time na kaya pa niyang magagalaw. Pero it never occurred to me that he was gonna go. I don't think he's just really weak, but he's gonna get up again, get his body back. Kaya siya ulit appetite and all those things. Kasi dun sa panahon na ganyan, if you were to see him, I'm sure nakita nyo, yan, yung mga ganyan medyo, this is December of 2010, yes. So kung makikita mo siya ng time na yan, parang alam mo na he looks sick. Kasi yung mata niya, iba na yung bagsak, ganyan. Noong mga bandang August, nakikita ko na he looks so weak, but I cannot, feeling ko talaga he was gonna get better. But I'm sure everybody around me knew he was gonna die soon. Pero if you were in that position na alam mo kasi, hindi mo maiisip na darating siya sa point na gano'n. So yun na yung pinakamahirap kasi hindi na talaga, everything was just so, we were in and out of the hospital. Almost every day, uwi siya, sandali lang takbo na naman kami ng hospital. So naging gano'n na yung routine namin.
And in I suppose last week, he was in the hospital.
Yeah, it was the last 3 days na we had to bring him to the hospital kasi bumabagsak na yung BP niya. Parang na siyang namumudla, tapos nawawalan na siya ng malay. So, we rushed him to the hospital and then, yun na, they made me sign so many things, the DNR, mga ganyan. So, that's why I thought it was just one of those hospital trips that we normally have. So, it didn't really bother me up to the time na ang dami na nilang masyadong pinapapirma sa akin, o kung ganito yung mangyari, hindi na kini. Kasi yung mga pagdating sa loob, or hindi ko alam kung labor yun, or kung ano, basta hindi ko siya naiintindihan, basta nagpirma-pirma nilang pinakadoon na parang, if this happens, they won't be reliable. that the hospital will not be held responsible for.
So when did he pass away?
September 23, 2011. So it
just
was a
12
year after he was diagnosed.
And at that point, I'm sure it was very difficult to deal with. What were your thoughts, especially with that's related to Nathan, Nawala's dad? What were your thoughts of that?
Siyempre at that time, siguro the hardest part for me was waking up the next day and realizing he was gone. Tapos, hindi ko lang siya matanggap na he was so young and he was full of life. He was full of hopes and dreams and so many things. And we had beautiful plans together. Tapos hindi ko lang maintindihan why it had to happen to him. Na of all people, bakit kailangan siya? Kasi in ako, growing up, I never had anyone close to my family die. Not even a lolo or a lola or a tito or a tita or a close friend. Never ko siya na-experience and I'm so scared of that. Kasi parang feeling ko, kawawa naman yung mga namamatayan, parang sakit na sakit sila. So I'm so lucky I've never gone through something like that. And then, doon ko lang na-realize na, kaya pala wala akong pinagdaanan ng bata ako kasi literal talaga nakadikit ko yung nawala. So parang, it just, I couldn't believe it at that time. Hindi ko talaga siya mag-isip na mangyayari sa kanya. And then, I just kept thinking, seeing him and seeing how difficult the things he had to go through, yun na lang siguro yung nagpapagaan ng pakiramdam ko na alam ko he's no longer in pain. Na nakakatulog na siya ng maayos, nakakangiti na siya, na masaya na siya, na ilang buwan niyang tiniis at pinagdaanan. I know he's free from all those things anymore. That's what makes me feel better.
So, at this point, we would, if you had one billion to everyone here about your own personal experience with this fight against an illness like this, especially if it happened to you, to someone really close to you, someone really matter. What would be that billion to everyone? Something for them to think about.
Siguro if there's one thing that I've learned is that life is just too short. Yung kahit hindi mo, it could be not a sickness eh. Pero kasi bilang ito yung very common sa atin sa panahon na to, kasi iba na rin yung kinakain natin, iba na yung lifestyle natin. So, pababa na ng pababa yung, or paaga na ng paaga yung edad ng maagang nagkakasakit. Kung dati ang sinasabi ng doctors, ni-rule out nila 30 and below pagdating sa cancer, ngayon kasali na rin. Kasi it's because of the things that we eat. Tapos hindi rin tayo conscious na kung anong kinakain natin, hindi pa tayo nag-exercise, hindi pa tayo nag-workout. So we're not really doing anything for our body. Tapos pag nagkasakit ka, gulat na gulat ka. Kung para sa akin, magulat ka kung sobrang healthy yung ano mo, tapos, and then you get sick. But if you know you're eating medyo pork or mataba or ganyan, and then you acquire something, then medyo parang, kung ako yun parang, ito na siguro yung mga pinagkakakain ko dati. So, yun yung na-realize ko. Pangalawa siguro is that, we were very fortunate that we had family to help us financially. Kung ibang tao siguro yun, malamang malaman pa lang nila yung babayaran nila, ayaw na nila magpatamon. And then that the stress of knowing na ito yung burden mo sa pamilya mo, yun pa actually yung nauuna na sila dun sa sakit nila dahil dun sa stress that we have to undergo because of that. So right now, at this point in my life, I'm saving up for my son's future, yes. But I'm also saving up for something that I know I will use eventually. It could be my retirement money, it could be my travel money, pag tumanda ako at umabot ako ng, 60 or 50 or whenever I want to retire. Pero gusto ko, makapagtabi ako ng something na kung sakali mang may mangyari sa akin, hindi ko guguluhin yung buhay ng anak ko. Kasi eventually, he's gonna have a family, he's gonna have his dreams, yung mga gusto niyang mangyari sa buhay niya. And I wouldn't want to be the one to stop him from doing that kasi nga nagkasakit ako. And just like every child or every daughter or every son, you would give up anything just to make sure na mabubuhay ang nanay mo or ang tatay mo. So, yun lang siguro yung natutunan ko na parang kailangan ko ingatan yung sarili ko in the first place. I try to eat healthy, I try to work out as much as I can. I'm very conscious with what I eat kasi I want to live longer for my son. But if the time comes na fate knows what happens to me, or God knows what's gonna happen to me, we all don't know that. Eh. Pero what we can actually do is to save our families from something na pwede namang hindi nila maging pain.
So, if I were to, I suppose, wrap it up, guys, you play a special role. You bring out the awareness that these things happen. Okay? We heard the numbers, statistics, even from a Department of Health standpoint, it's the silent epidemic now, or the silent killer. These things are happening. And we've heard it from a personal story, Camille, na yun nga, hey guys, you don't have to be old, you don't have to be sickly for these things to happen. And again, the financial impact of these things is an added burden, added stress nga. I mean, gusto nyo bang maging pabigat pa kayo sa mga kamag-anak nyo, sa anak nyo, kapag may mangyari sa inyo, sila yung mag-aalaga sa inyo. So, these messages is exactly what we want to get across. Hopefully through you, by partnering with you guys, let's start conversations about this. That this is really something that is happening. It's real. The numbers show it. Stories are there, and they're real. They're really happening. So at this point,